Hey, what's up YouTube? So today I'm doing kind of a different video than normal, and this is going to be more of a guide for the budget ore stacker. So for the gear overview, it will be the gear overview for the budget ore stacker. Then I'm going to go into the skill usage and look over the POB and then talk about like routes of improvement after you get the whole budget gear set up. And then exactly I will show you how to set up your gear and everything for bossing, and basically what type of glorious vanity you'll need, because glorious vanity is actually really important in this build for unlocking 300%. Like right now I think I'm wearing all of my gear. I have, what's it called, 3600 ES or so, 90% all res, 43% physical damage reduction. So this is a character that's at 300% aura effectiveness. And then I'll showcase some of the boss kill clips. I did pretty much everything on this character deathless. The only thing that I had issues with, but it wasn't really issues, it was doing the feared with Cheula because I have negative 60% chaos res. But I also provide like upgrade paths for getting chaos res fixed because it's really easy to get to positive chaos res. But everything was killed pretty much deathless, and when I did the feared, I even forgot to respec back to Necromancer from Elementalist, since I use Elementalist to kill Uber Atziri. So the damage you will see in some of the clips is literally like half of the actual damage because cast speed is everything on Penance Brand. And I'll go over some of the mechanics of Penance Brand and why it's important to have so much cast speed and no skill duration anywhere if possible. So a lot of people wonder like, what is the gear cost for everything? So I actually wrote down all of it, and it turns out the cost of playing the build is 35 Exalts. And for the small cost of 35 Exalts, you can do pretty much all the content in the game deathless, and you'll probably do an insane amount of damage compared to what you are used to on a 35 Exalt build. There's probably other builds out there that do like comparable amount, but this build has a ceiling that is unmatched. So I highly advise people to play this build if you want to have a really good starting basis and also be able to keep playing the league and have meaningful upgrades along every single point of currency you have. So if you have 1 Exalt, 10 Exalt, 100 Exalts later on, the build will feel better and better and better until you get to the point where your character is like my current character's gear on live. But let's start with the budget gear. The budget gear involves Alpha's Howl with a 50% aura reservation enchant. And then we have this amulet right here. So for the amulet, I opted not to go for an amulet with another aura on it. I don't know if that is the right choice or not, but I was able to pick this up very, very cheap. It was only 20 chaos. Now for all of these, items, I will be including, I put all of the armor pieces in this better trading folder, which I'll be including. So you can see I actually put in the reservations for you. So you'll see all of these helmets like 49 chaos, amulet. I have the search parameters. So you can literally copy all of the gear I have and just buy up the stuff that's on here. So amulet, I bought it for like right now the prices are a little crazy because it's nighttime, but I use +2/+2 face breakers. +2/+2 face breakers, and a lot of people might wonder, why do I choose this route? Because this allows me to use empower later on for my smite and discipline, and that gives me a lot of ES. Like right now my smite is level 24, so this is pretty much just playing out better than Malagaros. Because if you're trying to get a +2/+2 Malagaros, it just doesn't exist. Like the only reason why face breakers exist is because there's a corrupted card for it. So the face breakers is actually very affordable. So face breakers, and then we have Doriani's delusion boots. These are pretty cookie cutter boots. They're like 20 chaos, and they are pretty much OP for this build. Like usually on Spark you can't use it because you need the pierce, but for Penance Brand, we don't need to deal with Pierce, so we can use this pair of boots, which is pretty much like a Call of the Brotherhood, because it gives us an extra gem slot. And then Call of the Brotherhoods, we bought 2 of these for 20 chaos each, so 40 chaos total. And the Prism Guardian is, I just got a corruption with some physical damage reduction, because when you take physical damage from his taken as cold, it's like 5% physical damage reduction. And then for the Nebulous, we bought one with multi and some good rolls. On the better trading, I also included these rolls, so you can find a high rolled one with some multi. So the whole goal is to get as much multiplier as possible, so we can not have to use Malagaro gloves. They got a 6-link Shavs. This was remarkably cheap, and it has 5% additional physical damage reduction while stationary. So all in all, we have the Alpha Sal for 50C, Amulet for 20C, Champion to cause Anoint is 60 Chaos, 6-link Shaz for 3.5x, Darkness and Throne for 3 Chaos, Face Breakers for 15 Chaos, Doriani's Delusion for 20, Prison Guardian for 75, Call of the Brotherhood for 40C total, and Nebulous for 30 Chaos. So all in all of the armor on my body is 5.5x total, and it also gives us a good amount of multi. So you can see the armor is actually the cheapest part of the build, or the pieces that you wear on your body. It's the jewels and gems, or the jewels and the flask, that's actually the expensive part. So for the jewels, we have a lot of different options that we're currently running. So like usual, you want a Might of the Meek, and you want an Intuitive Leap. So like you can notice that I don't have any RMR on any of these jewels because they're just too expensive. So I try to get like good corruptions. I should have probably gone a Might of the Meek with Cold Pen. Like you might think that Cold Pen doesn't add up, but when you have like 10 jewels with Cold Pen with the implicit, it's pretty much like a quarter of a Cold Pen gem. So we have these unique jewels. Now since we're not playing Spark, we don't need to have a hazardous research. And then for the multi jewels, I opted for a bunch of 1 multi and RSR jewels. So this has 15 multi, this has 17 multi, this has 16 multi, and these are all very, very affordable. This one has some attack and cast speed, so if you can try to pick up some with some secondary stats like attack and cast speed, some dex, some int, or some crit chance, then it's actually very, very strong. The Conqueror's Efficiency, I did not opt for an RMR one because I was trying to go super, super budget, but I got another point of pen. And this one is the same here. I used a pure talent since I actually did have some attribute issues, so I used this, and this also gives me 1% pen. If I leveled up, I would probably take the starting node here, but kind of points are on a premium with this build. So let's see. So we have Might of the Meek, and now Watcher Side, I chose a really affordable Watcher Side. This Watcher Side was literally like less than an Exalt, so it's just some crit chance to act as a kind of a de facto hatred crit one, and then you get Arcane Surge, which is some cast speed and also some more damage multiplier. So that's actually a very good one since we have no access to Arcane Surge normally. And then I use a Glorious Vanity. Now Glorious Vanity is actually pretty important for this build. A Glorious Vanity means that, says right now we're not able to get enough aura effectiveness with this setup to get 300%. So Glorious Vanity adds that little bit of oomph to the aura effectiveness to bump us over 300% since we're using a brand cluster for this setup. So the Glorious Vanity we have is 15% plus 5. I bought this for 7 Exalts or 8 Exalts, and this was actually the bulk cost of the jewels. But this is pretty necessary because we want to be able to run this one cluster for mapping. So you can see here now that for the other stuff, we have the large clusters. We're using this jewel. Vengeful Commander is the important part. And then we also have Widespread Destruction. So this is very affordable. I think this is like 30 Chaos. And then I'm using this one here, Vengeful Commander, another one. It's probably around like 30 Chaos too. And then this one I'm using is 7 Passive Point Voices, which is actually 20 Chaos, I think. So all in all, everything extremely affordable. We went for the most cheap things possible. We have First Among Replenishing, another Cold Pen one. I think these are 120 Chaos each. There's a lot of good corruptions out there because a lot of people corrupt trying to get RMR. So they sell off a lot of the corrupted ones for really, really cheap. So this is another First Among. So we're using 1, 2, 3, 4 First Among Replenishings, and then 2 First Among Harbingers, First Among Purposeful Harbinger. So we have 4 of the First Among Replenishings and 2 First Among Purposeful Harbingers and 1 brand cluster with Brand Loyalty Holy Conquest. So once you can get like a better Glorious Vanity for more aura effect points, then we can drop one of these clusters and take another brand cluster. So that's where you can upgrade the build to make it feel better and better, and that's the fun part about playing it. So if we go into the total cost of the jewels, we have Intuitive Leap at 50 Chaos, Might of the Meek at 8 Chaos, 4 First Among Equals Replenishing Presences at 120 Chaos times 4, 480 Chaos, 2 Purposeful First Among Equals, like 2x total, 1 Brand Loyalty Holy Conquest 25 Chaos, 2 large clusters like 60 Chaos, 1 Voices 20 Chaos, and then Conqueror's Efficiency we bought for 1 Chaos literally. And then we got 8 of the RMR, 1 multi-jewels, about 10 Chaos each. Now these are all going to be in the better trading folder. And the Glorious Vanity is 8 Exalts. And if you guys want to be able to buy Glorious Vanity, let me show you how you can get it. So the easiest way to buy the Glorious Vanity is to go to the TFT Discord, go into the Legion Jewel Want to Buy section, and then Control F Glorious, right? And you will probably try to buy any that will be... Well, this is the want to buy section. You want to go to the want to sell section actually. Type in Glorious, and then you can see softcore Glorious Vanity on the Templar side. So you can PM this person. 32% would be more than enough. This one's 21% aura. So you can see you can use this one 21% for 2 Exalts. And if you use this for 2 Exalts, this will be enough to get you to 300% because mine's only 20%. So say you bought one for like 3 Exalts instead, right? That would move the cost down of the build down to 10x, and it will actually put the starting cost of the build at 30x if you can get a Glorious Vanity. So I could actually probably lower it to 30x honestly, because you can get jewels like this for very, very cheap. This is 21% for 4 points for 2x, and that's really, really good, right? So you can actually get the Glorious cheaper if you just look around on it. So actually I lowered the cost of the build for you. So basically the tree, you will see it on POB. The main points of the tree to point out is you have to get Runebinder, as this is a de facto insane aura. Now, if I was actually doing a really budget version, I would maybe consider getting a Thread of Hope here. I actually completely forgot about this, but Thread of Hope, you can get this 1 point. You can get a Thread of Hope RMR relatively cheap. So you pretty much sacrifice this jewel's multi for 3 points, which you could put into more ES, which would help out a lot. And the other thing of note is that I took this cluster Runesmith, and the only reason I did this is because the Glorious Vanity changed this one cluster here, because this is another brand cluster right here. So if I had a Glorious Vanity that's slotted into the Templar slot, so that's actually one of the benefits of a Glorious Vanity on this slot, is that you can use a Thread of Hope. So that's something to keep in mind. But just make sure to check out the POB, follow the tree, and there are some small nuances like I just mentioned, but basically it's an aura stacking tree and it's very, very similar in all aspects. So for the next portion of the cost of the build, we have the flasks and gems. Now the only mandatory gems that you want really high level are Purity of Fire and Ice, which are like 45 chaos each. I think this is actually 80 chaos. And then you want a level 4 Empower maybe for 1.5x for if you have enough gem slots for your Empower, Discipline, and Smite. I have my Discipline actually in my helm actually at the moment, but it should be fine either way. And then the Flask, you have the Bottle of Faith 13.3x, and then Sinner Swallow 60 chaos, Atziri's Promise 3 chaos. So it's like 14 Exalts for the Flask. Now the Flask is something pretty interesting to note because you can play without Bottle of Faith, right? So this actually brings down the budget of the build to around, if you take out that, you use a super cheap Glorious Vanity, you can probably play this on a 17 to 20 Exalt budget, maybe even cheaper, right? Because you don't need Bottle of Faith. Like that's how much the cost of the Bottle of Faith is. So you can see how cheap everything is. Like this is total jewel cost, like 10 Exalts for everything. And then you have this here. Maybe this is this 10 Exalts? Like 3 Exalts. Yeah, it should be about 10 Exalts when I calculated it. So you have 15 Exalts here, 16 Exalts. It's like 17 to 20 Exalts you could probably play to build. Obviously, some people might have like, oh, I want to use more gems. Well, the gems are something that most people don't include in the cost of builds usually, but I included the ones that are absolutely mandatory to get at the right level. So try leveling some of the gems in the offhand or something, or you can just buy really cheap level 19 gems. So you could probably add like an Exalt or 2 extra to the budget. But these are the mandatory level 21 gems that you should absolutely have. So total cost, probably 30 Exalts for the total budget. And it's what you'll see in the videos coming up is the gear I'm using is around 30 Exalts. And the super budget cost, if you don't want to use a Bottle of Faith, is probably around 17 to 20 Exalts, as you can pretty much just take off 13 Exalts off the top. Now, Bottle of Faith is really, really strong, but it's not mandatory to play the build at all. So I know this is a budget build guide, right? But people don't want to be on a budget forever, right? Like, you play this build, it's probably one of the strongest budget builds out there. You're going to have some money and you're going to be asking, how am I going to upgrade my character? Well, I have some tips for you. So one of the best things to upgrade, I mean, Facebreakers honestly is pretty good with this setup. Hand to the High Templar is honestly really good if you can get a +2/+2 with like Spell Crit or something. Although it's kind of close right now. Maybe the Facebreakers is actually really good for a long time. But a helmet is something you can definitely upgrade really fast. You can get multi and what's it called? An RMR, elevated RMR by crafting a rare helmet. And that'll probably give you like 100-ish ES, and it's actually really, really strong. Another thing that I highly recommend people upgrade early on is getting a +2 Shavs, which is like 20% more damage. Some other upgrade paths are also getting a new Glorious Vanity with more aura effect. You can probably buy one for like, so say you bought like a slightly better one than this one for that's 2x, and you bought one here that's like, let's see. So these people have, there's a lot of Glorious Vanities for sale, it seems like. So say you bought one for like 30 points or 30% for 5 points or something, or something's 37 points percent aura effect for 7 points. That means that you can add an extra cluster in, and adding an extra cluster is pretty big. Oh yeah, and if you start off this way, I highly recommend getting 2 5 passive voices ASAP, because 5 passive voices are incredibly cheap for what they offer. And I'll probably switch this over to a 5 passive point voices. So you would get 2 5 passive point voices, and then you'll be able to run a brand cluster. And the whole point of the game is to run more brand clusters. The more brand clusters you have, the better the build will feel. So for me currently on my endgame character, I have 4 brand clusters, and I think I have 4 brand clusters and and 4 aura clusters, and that I think is the ideal balance. But so you can get 1 extra brand cluster in by using voices with like 5 passives, and then you would get 1 extra brand cluster if you swap to a better Glorious Vanity with more aura effect. So you can drop one of your aura effect clusters, because right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we want to drop one of them with the Glorious Vanity in order to get another brand cluster in. So the whole name of the game is to try to get 300% aura effectiveness while using as many brand clusters and as few aura effect clusters as possible. Some other upgrades you can look into to fix the chaos res is to start rolling these clusters. Like these clusters cost like 8 to 15x depending on how well rolled they are. So this 35% effect, 9 ES chaos res. So this is how you can fix your energy shield problem and your chaos resist problem. So like later when I do the fear, you'll see the main problem I have is dying to Chayula, and that's because I have negative chaos res. So items like this will improve your chaos resist and survivability greatly. So you can see there's a lot of things to buy for upgrades. So it's not like a build where you spend like 35 exalts for the budget and then you're capped out. This is just the beginning for playing this character. There's so many upgrades, so many different paths, and it really just depends on where you want to start. Some people want to get a helm, some people want to make a better amulet, but I highly advise making a helmet, getting voices, and a slightly better Glorious Vanity and fitting in more brand clusters, and also eventually swapping over to Facebreakers to Ascendancy. Now I'll show you what Ascendancy are. These explode gloves, and they help out a lot. This is actually probably one of the biggest upgrades, so I would probably prioritize this. Even though, so disregard everything I say, buy this first, get a +2 pair. The explode is insane for mapping, so maybe you can swap it out. You have this pair for mapping and then this pair for bossing. That's what I used to do. And this Darkness Enthroned is honestly such a good belt, so this will probably be like somewhere further down the line to replace. But that would be a really long-term thing, is because you want to probably replace it with a Headhunter, but that's way down the line. But this belt is actually very, very strong. If you want some more ES, you could probably use a Stygian or something, but I highly recommend Darkness Enthroned. It solves the RMR and it helps you get fire damage to spells and phasing. But let's move on to the boss kills, and I'll talk a little bit about how the character functions in bossing. So in the end, the character costs around 30 exalts, right? So you must be wondering, how does this character actually perform in boss fights? Well, all the content was cleared with it. Some of the Awakener 9 kill is honestly pretty fast. Deathless Maven, Deathless Awakener 9s, everything pretty much deathless except Feared, because I had no Chaos Res. But like I told you earlier, you can fix it. So how does this character play pretty much? So right now, you want to use RF. Okay, so I don't know why I can't turn on RF here. I think it's because I have too little life reserved. But let me go back to town, and I'll show you how exactly this character will be played if the thing ever loads. So Smite is something you want to keep up a lot. So basically you have RF on. Now at the start of a boss fight, you want to make sure you have 5 inspiration charges. So spam Penance Brand a little bit to get the inspiration charges up. And you put them down, and then you want to smite the boss, and you want to move around, and you want to just put the Penance Brand so you can refresh the number of Penance Brand. And you just move around. The whole playstyle for bossing is very good for us and beginners, because you can focus on dodging while you do damage. But you do have to recast the brands quite often, because with Divergent Swift Brand, let's call it, brands fall off quite often. So you have to make sure to keep it up. But the bosses will mostly die instantly, as you will see. And now for like bossing tips for all the bosses. Mainly, if you want to do the Feared, you need to get Chaos Res. Almost everything else just dies instantly. And a lot of people also ask me, how do you do Uber Atziri? Uber Atziri, you swap over from, you swap into Elementalist. So you would just respec out of this, and then you swap into Elementalist, and then you cannot take reflected elemental damage. I know it's a pretty hot topic. In one of the Fear videos that you'll see upcoming, I actually did the Fear with, and I forgot to swap back to Necromancer. So make sure you swap back. If you don't swap back, you're probably missing around like 80% cast speed or something. So you're pretty much going to do no damage at all. And basically, that's about it for the playstyle. You use a Flame Dash as your movement skill. And if you're not doing mapping, you probably want to use a Smoke Mine with Divergent Smoke Mine. So you get some attack and cast speed after you cast the mine. And if you want to see the links, so right now I have Arrogance, Purity of Fire, Discipline, Purity of Ice. And then in the shield, we have Wrath, Grace, and Haste. So it's very important to put the 50% auras in the shield. And then here we have Clarity, Herald of Thunder, Herald of Ice, Hatred in the boots. And then here we have Vitality, Zealotry, Precision, Smite. So later on, with Empower, we probably, if you wanted to drop... so if you drop the movement skill, so like getting a gem socket is actually a pretty big deal early on. So this will allow us to put in Empower on the Discipline. So we move the Discipline down here, then you can see that our ES becomes a lot higher at 3913. So that's actually a pretty big upgrade. But it does require us getting a gem slot. And the only real way to get a gem slot is to spend a lot of money on the Prism Guardian, or to call the Brotherhood, or to get an Amulet. So maybe the Amulet will be another good upgrade early on. I completely forgot about that. But 4k ES is more than enough to stay alive on most boss fights. So the what's it called? The links in the Nebulous are Righteous Fire, Flame Dash, and Vitality. So make sure that you have to turn on Righteous Fire at the beginning of every map. Now if you don't want Righteous Fire, then you probably, if you don't want Righteous Fire at the start, like some maps you shouldn't run Righteous Fire because it's like no half regen, and because it degens too much, because like Righteous Fire actually causes you to lose a lot of your defense of the energy shield regenerated per second. So it's very important to only use it when you really need the damage, in my opinion, because you honestly do not need the damage for general mapping. But let's get straight into the boss kills. I hope you enjoy it all. All of the kills are pretty much done on this budget. It's actually kind of astounding. You can do an Aura Stacker on 30x and actually breeze through the bosses this easily. And I hope this inspires people to play Aura Stacker. A lot of people always ask about the budget, but it really does not require that much, like I've said countless times. Yeah, Penance Warstack will be good. Because it doesn't have the points. Get paid for. Oh shit, what the hell happened? Spark is better damage. Spark. Wait, what is going on? No. Wait, it's... How do I get doubled? Like, come on. Oh wait, I can't show the mod.
Feel death's pull.
Oh no, Chayula fucking. Oh, you too? Chayula is too hard.
History repeats itself.
It's always the balls. Uh-oh. Bye, you two. I don't even know how I did it the first time. The Chayula just didn't move at all. Chayula's a real carry. Yeah, it's impossible. The Chaos Res is just too big of an issue. It's actually a miracle I killed it the first time. But I guess Chayula spawned first last time. Dude, what the fuck? Chayula's so stupid. Oh my goodness. Losable.
Dazzling display survival.
Yeah, I dropped in power.
Sky, sky. Stand still. Take this. Stand still. Stand still. I require aid.
I hope everyone enjoyed the clips. All of the clips were from the stream today, so it's not like I handpicked a bunch of stuff. I only ran the Feared a few times to test it out. It was really smooth, and at 4K ES or so, with the defenses that you currently see, the character will not die. Oh, I actually swapped over, but the character will not die with that easily at all, and it's actually quite tanky. It's not going to be able to face tank spears and or like face tank like shaper balls, but it should be more than enough to do all the bosses and do all the content at a comfortable level for you to farm more currency to further improve the build. I hope this budget guide really opens people's eyes to like how much you actually need to play Aura Stacker. I see a lot of people comment on Reddit or in videos say, oh, you shouldn't even try Aura Stacker. It's something you need like 600-700 exalts for. You need Sacca walls and RMR clusters. Well, that simply is not true. I mapped it all out. I'll also include in the description my better trading PoE, so if you want to figure out how to use it, you can export and share it, and this is the code you'll copy in to import it here. It will help you shop for all the clusters I have, and I'll post all the cost in the description too. And be sure to join my Discord and come stop by on my Twitch channel if you have any questions about the build, as I hope to see a lot more Penance Brand people, right? So right now, if you see PoE Ninja, right, my goal is to get, by the end of the league, because of this video and my stream, to get more people to play Penance Brand with an Aura Stacker. So when I type in Penance Brand, I want to see Ascendant higher than Elementalist and Assassin one day. Probably not Assassin, that's impossible. But this number here, no one was playing it before I started, and I hope, and that's the fun part about swapping it. Like, this guy is Penance Aura Stacker. This guy was the only one playing it, so I hope more and more people try it out. It's really an amazing skill, and you can do all the content easily, and it's actually the best skill as a budget and the late game and in the mid game. And it's actually a really good playstyle. And anyhow, I hope everyone enjoys the skill and the guide, and if you like the video, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time, and I hope you find more mirrors and exalts than I do.